Welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I am playing Modern, and this is part one of a two-part series exploring the Prisoner side of control decks. This is inspired by subscriber Spunky, who sent me a Jeskai Stoneblade deck that he developed, and I noticed it had Chalice of the Void in the sideboard, and I was like, hey, if you like Chalice of the Void in blue decks, have you seen this thing? And I showed him this list. This one in front of you here, I believe was originally developed by Canister, but Steve Mann has been streaming it a lot lately. He went on a 14-1 run on stream with it in his first 3 leagues. He looked pretty impressive. And this deck is basically sort of a metagame solution for these turbo, Murktide Delver decks that have like 31 drops in them. So Chalice of the Void, 4 of in the main, not messing around here. That means we don't get Serum Visions, we don't get Path to Exile, we don't get the things that you'd expect to be below the lands and the 2 drops in a control deck like this. We are in on Chalice of the Void. And Rest in Peace, also in the format, shuts down Dragon Rage Channeler, shuts down Murktide Regent, has a bunch of impact in a bunch of other matchups too. 4 Counterspell, free counter in Force of Negation, free removal in Solitude. And we're just trying to survive up to the point where we're casting Archmage Charm and Teferi. Like, just get your lock pieces in, answer everything, Prismatic Ending. This, like I said, we don't get 1 drops, but I mean, Prismatic Ending, the way that it works, you can cast it for 1 and exile a 1 drop with it. Not through Chalice, but you could still pay 2 and exile that 1 drop through Chalice. Like, this is the perfect card to unlock Chalice of the Void in a control deck. So 4 Prismatic Ending, and then 7 Teferis to win the game with. 2 Jace, 3 big Teferi, 4 small Teferi. We are just trying to spew advantage in the early game, pitch counter, pitch removal, get Chalice into play at a stable life total, and then take over with the Planeswalkers in the mid game. And that's how this deck works. It's existing on an axis that a lot of control decks don't or haven't historically in the format. This is existing closer on the old Sun and Moon axis. If you remember that deck from a while ago, it was just a red-white prison deck. It had like Chalice of the Void, Blood Moon. I don't even remember what all was in this deck. I think it won with white planeswalkers like Gideon and Elspeth. And this is very close to that, but instead of red cards, we have blue ones. So the deck is strictly better. The sideboard, just more removal, more cheap interaction. Wear Tear is a 4 of. Timely Reinforcements if you got to stay alive, and 4 Mystical Disputes. And my favorite part of this deck, Kaheera the Orphan Guard. We get to play a companion. As long as each creature in the deck is a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast, you can play Kaheera. There's only 4 creatures in the deck, and they're all elementals. So we get Kaheera the Orphan Guard as a bonus win condition. Also, we can just put Kaheera in hand and then pitch it to Solitude. Like, it is a white card that's just always in the hand. So super cool there. And this deck is pretty unique. I'm excited to try it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see part 2 of this video that's going to come out tomorrow, which will be a lot of the same principles, but it's going to have Ragavan Stoneforge Mystic, and it's going to be a more tap-out tempo version of the same sort of thing, but we're still doing a lot of the same principles here, but very different takes on the same idea. And I'm excited to try this one. I haven't had a, quote-unquote creatureless control deck in a long time, and that used to be a thing you did a lot in Magic the Gathering, but they've designed creatures to be better, they've designed spells to be worse, and it's been a while since I got to do this, so I'm really excited to try this one. Let's jump into it. I'm on the draw in the first round. My companion's been revealed. This has to be a mulligan. We need to be a little better than that because there's not a lot of catch up in this deck. Like, if we fall behind, we're going to be in trouble. This one is even worse. Like, I definitely can't just keep 6 lands to Teferi in the dark on the draw in a game 1. Like, there's a good chance I just die to something like Prowess or Delver before I even cast a spell. While we're waiting for our opponent to decide on their mulligan, check out my Patreon or check out the YouTube membership, which is basically the same thing as Patreon, but it's run through YouTube. There's a join button under the video next to the subscribe button. That wasn't there a couple weeks ago, but you can click that now and subscribe to the channel. You get emotes and channel badges and some other perks. And there's also merch, so check out the merch link. All right, I can keep this one. I think I'm going to send Big Teferi and Castle Ardenvale to the bottom. Don't love this, but Supreme Verdict can clean up a lot. Opponent Multi 5 also. Let's see what they're doing without all that. Alright, immediately paid off shipping the non-blue land to the bottom with my Archmage Charm hand. Godless Shrine, Scalding Tarn. What are they up to over there? Alright, so I'm gonna fetch Arid Mesa in the end step to get a tapped Hallowed Fountain, and then I can get basic islands with my other lands if I need to cast Archmage Charm pain-free. Alright, we got an Esper deck over there. Street Wraith, okay. So is this some sort of like Reanimator combo Living End thing, or is it just a Shadow deck? If it is a Shadow deck, it's weird that they don't have Lurrus. Oh, well, they have Street Wraith, so they can't have Lurrus. That makes sense. I take it back. Alright, I am not going to shock that in. I guess I might as well go for this one, too. Get the Hallowed Fountains out of the way. There they are. Alright, well, shields are up. I can start drawing cards or countering spells as needed here. They bobbled me. I can crack my fetch land before I draw that card to hide information if I think that's important. The Underworld Cookbook. Can I beat this? I can just steal it. Alright. Don't need to counter it yet. I can determine how bad it's going to be for me. Alright, they do have the whole loop going. Do they also have Azmoran? There she is. Okay, so I'm one land away from Supreme Verdicting that, so I'm going to let it happen. I think I just want to draw 2 cards with Archmage Charm. Like, Teferi is my win condition, so I don't need to worry about creatures hurting each other, or like hurting themselves with like, Azmoran's food ability. Right, let's draw 2, find an answer to Azmoran, clear this board. Ruh-roh. Oh, it's been a bad time. I think it's okay. Like, we can still navigate this. I'll Chalice on 1, make sure they don't get any additional nonsense going here. My hand's full of answers. Like, I can pitch Solitude as needed. Like, I can take 3 a couple of times before I need to worry about the Supreme Verdict or 2-for-1ing myself. Like, life total is a resource here. They're just cranking out foods. This is definitely an Urza Saga deck also. Like, no doubt about that in my brain. Thought Monitor. That's pretty sick. Yeah, they're doing cool things over there. I love this deck. I take 3 from Azmoran. Looking for that land for Supreme Verdict. Another Chalice. That's not really what I want here. Guess I can use Archmage Charm to steal Azmoran. Or I could just stick with the draw 2 plan and try to Supreme Verdict this board. Do I want to steal her? Do I care about that? Is drawing cards better? I think I'd rather draw. But I'm going to leave up Counterspell for their turn. Cooking more food. They get to attack for 5. Another Thought Monitor. That's good stuff. I think this game's going to come down to how many counterspells they play and what they choose to point them at. So I'm going to draw 2 again. Let's find that land, sweep this up, take the pressure off. Alright, we're in there. Okay, so I'm going to Supreme Verdict, clear this board. I can Teferi next turn, and then start hardcasting Solitudes. If they held up counterspells for this, they're going to be disappointed. Unless they have Spell Queller. Oh my god, that would be a beating. Alright. Their creatures are dead. They didn't have Spell Queller. Now let's see if Chalice of the Void can hold the ground here. Emery, okay. My main deck Rest in Pieces have some application there. Oh, yeah, the Rest in Peace also affects the Daredevil. So, main deck Rest in Peace, pretty banger here. Ending my Chalice, okay. I have another one of those. But I guess not right away, I don't. Right, so I can Teferi, or they just milled Pithing Needle, so I can't actually go for Teferi yet. Is there a reason to get the white land? I don't think so. This deck is pretty blue hungry with the counter spells and everything else. I'm just going main phase on this. They can't force a negation it because it's a creature. Alright, they can Metallic Rebuke it. They could have done that on their turn too. I just really wanted to remove the Emery before it was active. And they're going to make some foods in the end step. Rebuke is a serious beating. That one, they certainly are going to have their affinity most of the time. Well, here's Urza. That's going to need to be exiled or handled somehow. Right, so they redeploying Thought Monitor. Yeah, pretty sure I've lost this one. The other Supreme Verdict off the top. So, like, I'm trying to figure out where I blew this game, and am I supposed to fight over the first cookbook? Like, the first cookbook could have... Like, that's what turned on Asmaran, which tutored up the second cookbook. I don't know. Like, is that where the fight is? I mean, now I know more about the matchup, so that all matters. Like, that's all good information. Definitely bringing in all of my Supreme Verdicts. All 4 of them will be in for the second game. They're making this construct effing huge, and they're also just making Mock Sapphires along the way. They're going to start activating Urza, casting Street Wraith. Hell yeah. Go for it. Activate Urza again and hit Bauble. Alright. There's Bauble. There's Street Wraith. Alright, deck. How about the other Supreme Verdict? I don't ask for much. Teferi. Are you good? Not really. Teferi can bounce the Construct token, which takes an enormous creature out of play. So ship the Construct out of here. Prismatic Ending does what? Very little, it seems. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I am dead on board, so I'm going to have to cast Solitude. Do I think 1 or 0? Probably 1 for the Chalice. Steam Vents enters the battlefield tapped, and 3, 4, 5, 6. They can put me to 1 if I get rid of Urza. And I want to get rid of Urza now before they untap with infinite mana. So I think I have to pitch Big Teferi. I get rid of Urza, I go to 1. Not excited about my chances here, but that was a cool turn. Emery plus Thought Monitor is one of my favorite things that exists in Magic right now, and I'm so jealous every time my opponent does it. Another Urza. Uh-oh. Urza does get around Teferi with his 5 ability. Until end of turn, you may play that card without it paying its mana cost. That until end of turn is the magic difference. If it said shuffle your library, exile the top card, you may play it, then you wouldn't be able to do it with Teferi in play, because it would... the game would be asking you to cast the spell during the resolution of another ability, which is not when you can cast sorceries. Oh, this is wild. It's Supreme Verdict or bust, like, no doubt about it. It's ignoring Teferi. I mean, they could have killed Teferi and kept the clock the same. So I actually think leaving Teferi in play was a huge mistake. I'm also pretty sure it's not going to matter, but still, I'm allowed to get my points. Yeah, we're dead. There's not enough mana here to cast Jace, Brainstorm, and look for Supreme Verdict. So I probably messed up that game by not fighting over the first cookbook. I was a little too patient with my life total without respecting what they're actually capable of. Alright, so Supreme Verdict, Wear Terror in. Wear Terror is insane because Urza's Saga is an enchantment and it makes artifacts, so you're just like locked for a double whammy most of the time if you draw that card. Mystical Dispute's pretty good versus Urza. Don't think I want Force of Negation in this matchup. It's not in any increased quantity. Oh my god, I have 10 cards I want to bring in and 0 cards I want to bring out. What do you do here? Yeah, maybe Force of Negation is not where I want to be, because all their important things were creatures. And do I need all 4 Supreme Verdicts? Maybe not. Chalice on 1 and 0 both have text against them. But is it really important? Like Emery cost 3, Urza cost 4. Yeah, maybe this isn't a Chalice matchup. Like Rest in Peace I can use to control the cookbook. And yeah, if they have cookbook, I can get in before Chalice does. So maybe this just is not a Chalice matchup. And they saw Chalice game 1. And they're playing Prismatic Ending in their deck. So, alright. The Solitude seems pretty important. That's also like the win condition for the deck. So that matters. I want all my removal. Maybe big Teferi and little Teferi can be in smaller quantities. Do I need all 4 Mystical Disputes? I already have a bunch of counterspells in the deck. And if I'm playing to answer the board, that could... I guess, yeah, I don't want to be too counterspell heavy against the Saga deck. Like being able to just Urza Saga me, no matter how many counters are in my hand, is not a play pattern I want to embrace. Okay, so I'm going to keep this. This has counterspells up the curve into Jace. So Hallowed Fountain, tapped, and ship it. First appearance of Mystic Gate. Steve Mann added 4 of this card to the deck. A maniac. I haven't seen 4 Mystic Gates in a deck, probably ever. Nice, we have the Wear Tear, and we're already holding the red source, so that's pretty cool. Kind of hoping that they play Saga this turn. You just get the sweep. So they don't have Asmaran, or they would have done that on their turn. Alright, now they're doing it on their turn. Is that because they have her? I will counter her this time. Ooh, they have the Saga. Either Spell Bomb. That's not a card I'm going to counter. That is. Alright, let's see if I can remember how to tap Mystic Gate on Magic Online. Yep, figured it out. You have to tap the Mystic Gate first, and then the other land second. I do remember that from Standard. Alright, Shock in, Steam Vents, and then we're going to Wear Tear, Con Queso. So I'm going to destroy this artifact and this enchantment. Blammo. Please don't have Force of Negation. Alright, that was pretty cool. This deck's starting to make sense. They have a tapped Hallowed Fountain. Land for Jace? Alright, did not have land for Jace. That's okay. I'm going to pass with my Counterspell up. I could draw cards now and try to hit my land drops, but I think that keeping the board empty is going to be my priority. They have another Saga. I can draw 2 right now. Bang, draw 2. If they fight over this, then I get to untap and do stuff, maybe, if there's any stuff to do. Okay, so we know about some of their counterspells. So the question is, do I just ram Jace into the counterspell I know about? Do I try to control this Saga? Like what? I guess I can use... Yeah, I think I should be patient with my tap out threats. Like, I can wait for them to spend mana to make a construct. Like, that's the thing they're eventually going to have to tap out to do. I can steal the construct with Archmage Charm, or exile it with Prismatic Ending. Yeah, I'm not going to fight over Underworld Cookbook in this particular spot. I don't think I want to draw 2. I think I want to save that to steal the construct. And now I can steal construct with counterspell backup. Yeah, I can see how this deck works. I'm into it. And their constructs are going to be like larges, and mine will be a 1/1, but they won't have it and I will, which is the important thing. If they tap out to make it, then I get to take it. Gain control of target non-land permanent. Yoink. I guess I should fetch before they pop their Saga. In case they get Pithing Needle, I don't want them to name Flooded Strand. Alright, so there's the second construct. I have a plethora of answers to that. Springleaf Drum, okay. Pretty happy with them getting Springleaf Drum instead of anything that does anything. Thought Monitor. I think that's a counterspell. And they can protect this Monitor with Metallic Rebuke if they had it. Alright, there's Asmaran, sure. You got it. So I can Prismatic Ending one of these Azmoran, and then bounce or tuck the other with Jace or Teferi. I guess Jace just took the lead on that calculation, because Teferi is a white card I can pitch. Alright, here's Jace. Are they a Force of Negation deck? Alright. Bounce Construct. And Prismatic Ending Azmoran, which is a 0-drop. Alright, so they're spending 2 foods for my 1/1 to kill itself. That's a deal. Okay, now I have Jace in play, and an answer in hand to their 3 cards in hand, and no important permanents on board. See how this goes. Cracking a fetch land. Guess jamming Urza is a pretty big game here. Listen to me, I guess Urza's pretty good. Yeah, Urza's really good. Always is. They're making food. Okay, Azmoran, not a huge deal. I have her very covered. Another cookbook, sure. Anything that's not Urza is really fine. They have 1 card in their hand that could still be Urza, but I think they would. Oh wait, no, they don't. I know every card in their hand. Their last card in hand is the Daredevil. Rest in peace. Don't mind if I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a little short here on doing everything that I want to do. I could just plus Jace. Target myself. No, that doesn't work because Rest in Peace is not an instant. I can brainstorm with Jace. And if I hit a land, I can do 2 things. No land. Okay. Rest in Peace, Solitude. Yeah, I just cast Solitude here for sure. So put back Supreme Verdict and Rest in Peace. And I think I just Solitude the Azmoran. I could also Teferi and tuck the Azmoran. That might be better, actually. Because Solitude can... Yeah, Solitude they can kill on the way out with Azmoran. These Planeswalkers, their hand is just the Daredevil. So I know they're Hellbent right now, like functionally Hellbent. And I have a bunch of answers if I can just get my Planeswalkers under me. They're going to make a bunch of food in my end step. Ooh, they drew a card with Aether Spellbomb. I like that. I was worried about the Spellbomb picking up Azmoran in response to a removal spell, but now I don't have to worry about that. I also have Urza covered with the Mystical Dispute. Their top card right now is Azmoran. They drew for turn, they drew for Bauble. They're making a lot of food right now. Hopefully they're prepping for an Urza that I can just dispute. Nope, time to cast Daredevil. You got it. Okay, deal. Okay, so plus Teferi, draw a card, and then I get to untap 2 lands in the end step. Then Brainstorm with Jace. This is good stuff. I'm going to put back the 2 Supreme Verdicts, I think. Then here's my land. Rest in Peace. That way, when this Daredevil dies, it's gone forever. And their top card is Azmoran. In the end step, I untap 2 lands. Alright, go ahead. It might be hard for them to discard cards right now. Like, whatever that last card in their hand is, like, they don't have the loop going anymore. Alright, Solitude. And if they do have the counterspell for this, I can pitch Wear Tear to the other Solitude, and then they're stuck with only Azmoran that they can't cast in their hand. Alright, that was pretty satisfying. I like that. Okay, does anything change about the sideboard plan? I think Wear Tear won that game. That early Wear Tear that took out their Saga and an artifact. Like, that was a banger. So that's obviously not changing. Pivoting the game into tapping out for Teferi does seem like kind of an important thing. And on the draw, I think Mystical Dispute has gotten a lot better. Is it better than Counterspell? Is it better than Small Teferi? Though Small Teferi cleaning up constructs is a huge deal. Maybe it's just better than Counterspell on the draw. Because I can eventually just cast Mystical Dispute also, and as long as they don't have Urza in play, that's going to be a hard counter for the whole game. do I want my other big Teferi in there? Turning the corner on big Teferi was a pretty important part of that game, but I think I have to just be careful with when I jam my game winners and just stay alive until that point. I think that's how I want to play this matchup. I'm going to keep this. It's pretty slow to answer a turn 1 Azmoran, but I hope that they just don't have that. I'm good on Mystical Disputes. Right, there's a cookbook. Do they have it? It looks like they don't have her. I'll just play my land and chip it. Now I'm holding up Mystical Dispute for Emery. And then next turn I'll have Counterspell up. Yeah, them not doing anything on turn 1 was a huge deal. That just takes a lot of pressure off the matchup. Didn't discard either. They must not have a Daredevil. I wonder if they shaved on that package after seeing Rest in Peace. Or is that just a terrible idea and not how you play the deck at all? Because I'm willing to believe that. Alright, I'm prepared for this one. They discarded Urza to get some affinity. Let's hope that hurts later. That was a big investment putting Urza in the graveyard. Right, Azmoran. Okay, she's in. I guess they can cookbook the Urza back later when they're ready for it. I am going to take my time on this Azmoran. I don't want to 2-for-1 myself if I don't have to. I'm going to try not to make the same mistakes I made in game 1. But at the same time, I am not going to just 2-for-1 myself willy-nilly. Well, now or never on this counterspell, I guess. Counter the Teferi. Alright, that's a nice one. I think I can wish for Kaheera right now. So that's a white card I can pitch for Solitude. That gives me some room to breathe here. They're down to 1 card in hand. A Bauble, sure. Thought Monitor, yeah. Can't counter that, unfortunately. Alright, so Azmoran is sideways now, and bobbled me. Okay, drawing another fetch land is nice. I was a little worried about being able to Supreme Verdict and then still have red if I need it later, but we just got there on that one. So now I can Verdict to bridge the gap into hardcasting Solitudes. I'm at 9 though, so I'm going to need the Solitude to connect once or twice before I feel super comfortable. They found a Daredevil, so here come the Endless Treasures, or foods, whatever these are. Thoughtseize, okay. One of my Solitudes is going to go here. It is nice to have 2 copies of the most important card, though. Cookbook. So their last card in hand is the Daredevil, so we are stable-ish here. And now I can start activating Castle Vantress. I'm not going to play Kaheera yet. I think activating Castle Vantress will be better than putting a random 3-2 into play. Making the foods in the end step. That's what you do. Alright, and they're starting to eat food. Alright, sure. Alright, Saga's a good one. Alright, yeah, just cranking out foods right now. They might make 2 foods and then cast Daredevil, but that seems really bad when they know I have Solitude in hand. Alright, yeah, they didn't fall for it. Time to scry 2. See if Castle Vantress or Urza Saga is actually the better land. This is pretty interesting. Do I want these things? I don't think I want Arden Vale. Not yet. Rest in Peace. Do I want... I think I do want Rest in Peace. Because they have these 2 cookbooks that can rebuy Urza and Emery eventually. And right now, while the cookbooks are tapped, I can sweep out that graveyard. Okay, so that's out of here. Do I want to cast Kaheera right now? I don't think I do. So Saga is ticking up. I want to fetch my Steam Vents right now. Make sure that's available for when it's time. I would love to draw Wear Tear right now. That's not Wear Tear deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if they have Metallic Rebuke as the 1 mystery card in their hand, they can get me pretty good here. Alright, so there's that. Not sure why I let them untap, but anyway. Here's Solitude. Alright, get rid of this. And then I'm gonna fetch before they can tutor up Pithing Needle, though I don't think that's gonna be what they get here. And if they do get Needle, they're gonna name Castle Vantress and not my random fetch land. Maybe I should have left the fetch land in play, hoping that they did name Polluted Delta with it and leave my Castle Vantress alone. If I can answer this construct like right now, I'll feel okay, but if I can't, I'm actually just dead. Thoughtseize taking my Kaheera. Okay, top deck mode. I guess I need to activate Castle in the upkeep, so if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, activate. Yeah, I need to activate Castle Vantress in the upkeep. So 1, 2, 3, 4, activate. I have so many answers, let's find one. Wear Tear, Prismatic Ending, Teferi. Oh yeah. Top. Alright, so I'm gonna wear. Yes, wear is the one I want. Destroy target artifact, naming the construct. Now I get to attack for 3 lifelink. Alright. I think we're doing it. Their hand is the Daredevil. Okay, I mean, Teferi's fine. What does Teferi even do? Like, bounce Rest in Peace. Yeah, that lets them make 2 foods, I guess. Okay, Saga, sure. Good thing I have Wear Tear on top of my deck. So I'm gonna redeploy the Rest in Peace, see if they want to have a fight over this. I don't know what they would just make 2 foods. There's no fight to have. Alright. I know all the cards in their hand. Right, so there's another food. Rest in Peace is back in play. I'm gonna kill Teferi with Solitude. Gain 3 more life. And I guess I want to Wear Tear right now. Take out the Shadow Spear and the Saga. Bang. Wear Tear's messed up. Big fan. Alright, time to cast Daredevil. We've reached that point of the game. I'm gonna fetch. There's only basic islands left to get, and I think this is an upkeep scry moment. I was just gonna say let's find Little Teferi. Alright. Top, draw. And then I'm gonna bounce Daredevil, though I think bouncing Solitude might actually be better, but I do like this life buffer, and just though if I bounce Solitude I lose Teferi. Like, that's like a long-term, super long-term play. They must have drawn Azmoran. Yeah, there she is. Because you don't just discard for no reason. Alright, yeah, and she can food murder that thing. Alright, so I'm at 21 life. I have an answer to Azmoran at the ready. Plus Teferi. I'm gonna pass the turn here. I can Prismatic Ending as an instant, and if they split their attacks, then maybe I can, like, if they go after me with Daredevil and Teferi with Azmoran, maybe I can save Teferi. That's exactly what they did. Fell for it. Wham. Alright, so I go to 17. I think the clock is starting to become a major concern here. Vantress, bottom, top. I actually do want to Castle Ardenvale. That's a win condition, or at least a not lose condition. So they attack Teferi. I make a 1/1. This is like standard from a couple formats ago, or just the games just evolve into castling. Circle Jerk castling. Oh yeah. Top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's Jace. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so I'm gonna Brainstorm with Jace. I'm gonna keep the land, and I'm gonna bounce Oval Chase Daredevil with Teferi. Now I have Counterspell and Castle up versus, and Jason play versus this nothing. Losing Teferi does unlock their counterspells if they still have them. I'm not going to fight over that. I can double block it next turn and just remove it from play the old-fashioned way. Brainstorm with Jace. Nice. Teferi's here. Bounce Daredevil. Stack. I stacked these fetch lands wrong. I don't actually have something that Arid Mesa can still get, but I do have something that Scalding Tarn can get. So that was loose. Urza gets a counter. Nope. So I'm gonna Arden Veil in the end step. I'm trying to win this game now. In real life, I'd probably be Vantressing, but that is not what I'm doing right now. Brainstorm with Jace. I knew that was a fail to find, but I had to do something. I had to clear the top of my deck. It's worth the 1 life and the embarrassment. I guess I should just be plussing Jace now. Like, I'm not going to win this game by damage, and the clock is starting to become a concern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, need white mana in there. Come on now. Get rid of this. I think if I start aggressively plussing Jace, I'll be able to win in plenty of time, and I don't need to worry about playing suboptimally. So I have Wear Tear, multiple hard answers to stuff. Plus you with Jace. No, you can keep that. That's a nice counterspell you've got there. Be a shame if somebody Teferied it. It's possible that I shouldn't even be attacking just for clock considerations. Though, I mean, I am also coming in pretty hard there. I am not going to activate any of my castles just to make sure I don't time out. Like, this game is so hard in the bag right now that timing out, I think, is the only way I'll lose it. Yeah, I don't want you to have Tezzeret. That one actually is too good. So they're going to eat some foods in the end of my turn. Daredevil's fine. Got another Solitude for that. Bang. Gain some more life. Give your opponent life tribal. Counterspell, love it. Yes, put that on the bottom. Plus Teferi again. Gonna eat more food. Creating foods, discarding Metallic Rebuke. Asmoran, no thank you. That has removal spells attached to it. Plus Jace. No, you can have your irrelevant 1/2 body. So if I wasn't just playing for the clock, my Castle Ardenvale, I'd have like 3 or 4 tokens in play right now. My Castle Vantress would be fixing the top of the deck. I probably would have bounced one of my Solitudes with Teferi by now. Just as another backup answer to make sure Jace goes coast to coast. Yep, resolves. Exile 4 cards from your deck. I can just bounce that with Teferi. Teferi's been waiting for a target for a while now. Jace is now at ultimate levels. Yes, put that on the bottom. That's one of the few good cards left. I mean, not that it's going to get through my counter spells, but still, respect it. I actually think Jace and damage are going to end up winning on the same turn of this game. Pretty sweet. It's beautiful. The full Arnold Palmer. They're going to 1. I don't play Lightning Bolt, unfortunately. They're just eating their remaining food in my end step. Memory is fine. Mill 4, exile 4 cards from your deck. They probably should not be playing cards out of their hand. Like if they're trying to time me out, which has to be their win condition by now. Because now they only get 1 turn instead of 3 to do anything. Alright, and they finally conceded to the Jace Ultimate. That one snuck up on them apparently. Alright, that was sick. This deck is nice. I'm on the draw in round number 2 with a super prison-y hand. I'm going to keep it. This is where we just hope that Chalice or Rest in Peace are good against them. They're on a mull of 5 so far. I don't have a blue card to pair with this Force of Negation, which is kind of a bummer, but this hand is pretty solid, so I'm not going to complain. A basic Plains. Alright. Don't know what that means, but here we are. So if this is some sort of taxes deck, then... Oh, they're the Ephemerate deck. Okay, so Chalice on 1's going to be really good against them, actually. I'm going to get a Hallowed Fountain. There are no red cards in the main deck. No worries there. So Chalice on 1 to kick things off. And then I'm going to Rest in Peace on the next turn. And that should shut down their Ephemerate BS and their Reanimator BS, depending on how much of each they actually have. They shocked in a Godless Shrine. And now they have Skyclave Apparition. Okay, so they care about Chalice. That's good to know. It's a shame for them that I had another one the whole time. It also sucks for me that this is a 0-cost card under Skyclave Apparition, so I'm not going to get a token if I kill that thing. Alright, Stoneforge Mystic is here. What are we looking for? The Bee Skull. Alright. So they're untapping into 5 mana here, which means that they can almost cast Batterskull anyway. But I don't think that actually changes my plan at all. I'm going to Prismatic Ending the Stoneforge Mystic. And I have Counterspell up for Batterskull. And then I just need to navigate this Skyclave Apparition before it attacks me 8 times. And I just gotta hope that their hand is full of Ephemerates. So they are at the point where they can hardcast Grief and or Solitude. Vindicate. Do I care about that? I don't think I care about that. Resolves. I have a lot of lands. It's weird I guess if if they slow rolled a 2-drop for second main, that was the right card to target. Okay, Stoneforge Mystic makes some sense. Sword of these 2 things. Alright, I need a removal spell right now. Hey. That Vindicate did turn out to be really good because I would have loved to Solitude. But obviously, that is not what happened. So I'm not able to Solitude now because they could just cast and equip the sword if I go after Stoneforge Mystic. They could cast and equip the sword, so I have to let them put the sword in and equip it before I make a move on my removal. Okay. They're just not even playing that game. That's a deal. Alright, so hopefully I draw a land and let me cast Solitude. Ugh. Alright, do I want to Rest in Peace here? I have the other one I can pitch to Solitude now, and I'm still holding up Counterspell. So yeah, I'll play Rest in Peace. This is starting to go really poorly though. That Vindicate was actually really good. Because now they can put in Batterskull, which is a whole different threat I have to respect. And if they put in Batterskull now, untap, put in Sword, and equip it to a different thing, then I have a 4/4 and the Sword creature both coming in at me. Yeah, I definitely need a Supreme Verdict here. I'm going to let them get into combat. I'm going to give them the extra 2 life. Because if they had a land, they could still re-equip the sword before combat there. Alright, so get rid of this. And fortunately, do not get a token. Well, I get it, but it dies instantly. Make a 0/0 token. Alright, so Supreme Verdict's a great draw. Archmage Charm is really good. If I can steal this Germ, that would be a big deal. Come on, deck, help me out. Deck full of answers. That wasn't any of them. So I'm taking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm just dead here. Oh wait, nope. I have a blocker in Castle Ardenvale. So what they should do is put Sword on Stoneforge Mystic and attack with both creatures. If they have Solitude, it doesn't matter. Like they could just flash in Solitude, remove my blocker. Ugh, my opponent knows what they're doing, and I hate that. I hate when they do that. They're supposed to be bad. Okay, so I need to get a plains and an island here. There's the 1 plains. And here comes an island. I'm gonna block Stoneforge Mystic and go to 2. So blocking the sword prevents 5 damage and them from drawing a card. Blocking Batterskull prevents 4 damage and they don't draw a card. Okay, yeah, they had Solitude. And it is a creature spell, so... Alright, dead. Yeah, they navigated that game really well. That Vindicate, the turn to take me off Counterspell, was really clutch. Well played. So this is not a Rest in Peace matchup. This is a Supreme Verdict matchup. This is a Wear Tear matchup. I think this is not a Force of Negation matchup. Archmage's Charm would have been great at any point. Prismatic Ending's great. I think Chalice was pretty good. It's hard to tell what effect Chalice has on a game. Actually, they were hellbent at the end of the game and they pitched Flicker Wisp to their Solitude, but they're definitely an Ephemerate deck, and they did play multiple lands out. The Malakir Rebirth, I think is what that card is called. The double face card that is also a 1-drop, so maybe they would have liked to do that. But they do seem to have a lot of answers to Chalice, even though it's still pretty good. So I think I can go a little thinner on it. I definitely want all my bangers, all my answers. Do I need 4 Supreme Verdict, I guess, is the last question. Is Supreme Verdict going to be higher impact than Chalice of the Void on average, I guess, is my question. And if I have 2 Chalice, which limits the likelihood it's in my opening hand, are they going to shave on Ephemerates knowing that I have Chalice? Like, that's another good question. All right, I'm going to play it like this. But maybe Timely's actually better than the last Chalice. Too late, I already clicked it, but I think if I'm playing 1 Chalice, I should just play 0. It revealed my companion. This hand is not great. I will ship it. Alright, this is basically the same hand, except it also has a counterspell in it, which is basically what I wanted. I just wanted to interact earlier than turn 4, which I think is a reasonable request. So they have Marsh Flats. I expect I'm getting discarded somehow here. Yeah, alright, they have the grief thing, so I'm probably losing Jace and Counterspell, would be my guess. And if they have Ephemerate, I lose all of them. Alright, it's Undying Evil, so sure. So they have Undying Evil on top of all these other things. They also sequenced that wrong. You can check their hand before you commit to the Undying Evil. Like, if I just had Solitude, that would have been a blowout. But luckily for them, I did not. So Counterspell's gone, and Jace is gone, would be my bet. So that looks pretty explosive. Like, those starts look really good, and they are pretty good, but we are looking at here a 3 for 2. They got Counterspell and Jace out of my hand, and I got Vindicate, Grief, and Undying Evil out of there. Well, it's a 3 for 3 because Grief leaves the body behind. So that's it. It's neutral on cards. It just like lets them sort of control the pace of the game, and like it is good, but it's not as devastating as it seems. Like, I was actually really worried about this during spoiler season. And following it up is pretty scary. Like, if they just get Cauldra here, I'm probably never winning. Yeah, on just like raw card value, it's comparable, but on take your good stuff and then make you lose value, it's not comparable at all, and I'm actually just dead here. Like, even Supreme Verdict doesn't clear Cauldra, and I'm going to be at exactly 5 this turn. Yeah, this was a steamroll. If I could break up this, could have broken up the Grief. Like, if I had Solitude, and they missequenced their Undying Evil, so if I had Solitude, that would have been pretty great. I guess I do play exile-based removal, so I can't give up yet. I guess if I draw a little Teferi, bounce Germ Token, draw Solitude off Teferi draw, I'm actually just still in this and doing fine. Alright, not really anymore. Well, that doesn't affect, like, I didn't have the answers in my hand anyway. Little Teferi. Nope, wrong. Alright. Run over by that one. Yeah, the discard spells are really good, and their sequencing in game 1 was all correct. Just the Vindicate to clear the way for the 2-drop through counter magic, and then knowing where to put their swords, like all of that, they did everything correctly. So that was tough, and they pulled it off. On the draw for round number 3, and I'm into this hand. I'm into it more on the play, obviously, but here we are. Old counter hand. If they are on Delver, Steam Vents. Oh, it came into play tapped. That's lucky. Alright, so plane or island, ship it. Mystic Gate is nice, I guess. I didn't really need it, but there it is. Oh, the old Windswept Heath Steam Vents deck. This has to be some sort of like elemental chord combo, or the Warp World deck. Brennan 6. That's not a card I can counter right now. Yeah, that one's tough. That's one of the shittier things that could sneak under my discard or my counters. Do I think Chalice matters in this matchup? Yeah, might as well put it on the stack. It's not doing anything in my hand, that's for sure. There's that Windswept Heath again. Fetching Rocker and Triome. Yeah, I think there's a possibility this is some sort of like ephemerate deck. I mean, it's obviously an Omnath deck, but the ephemerate stuff might also be happening in the Omnath shell. Here's Mystic Gate tying the room together. Not that I needed it, like I did have triple blue anyway, but it is nice that you can go from Island Plains to Archmage Charm, just on curve. Right, fetch and pick their land back up. I'm gonna draw 2 in their end step. God. Navigating Mystic Gate, the hardest part of playing this deck. Let's draw some cards. Big Teferi. That will, in fact, answer Wrenn and 6 the turn before it pops off. So I can tuck Wrenn if I think that's important to do right away, I guess is the question. Though Teferi having Counterspell in the format, I can jam Teferi plus untap with Counterspell, which is just the dream. And because of that play pattern, if they cast a spell this turn that I need to counter, I'm going to use Archmage's Charm to do it. Little Teferi. So I am going to counter that spell. Yeah, that's the now or never counter. So I choose now. Yikes. They just have Remand in their deck. They remanded their Teferi. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's how you win control mirrors. You remand your own spell, so it ends up like functionally countering the Archmage's Charm, and you pick your spell back up and replace the remand. So that is card advantage over time. So here's my Teferi. This Teferi doesn't help against Wrenn. I could sneak it in there though and just hold up Counterspell back up. So I don't think that's actually what I want to do. Force Negation is the card I'm worried about here. Alright, I'm going for a big Teferi. This is the play I lined up, and I'm going to stick with it. So draw a card. And we'll see if they want to emblem up Wrenn immediately, or if they want to keep generating advantage, because I can tuck Wrenn if they don't emblem it right now. Okay, yeah, they just went for it. It's probably good enough. But like lightning bolts are turned off anyway. Again, now or never. You can't retrace Teferi. Okay, remand targeting Counterspell this time. That makes sense because I can't cast Counterspell with Teferi in play anyway. So they can set up a multi-turn line here where they just plus now. Oh wow, they didn't even bounce my Chalice. Like, Chalice was just sitting there free for them to bounce, and they chose to target nothing. That's kind of weird. Do they think the Chalice is holding me down somehow? Weird, okay. Alright, so I can just jam Jace, and then we can be in this Teferi versus Jace dual deck situation. I could use my Teferi to tuck theirs, and then play my little one. Does that make sense? I think I like that, actually. Because I do want my counterspells on. They fetch now, so they don't shuffle away their Teferi by accident. That is how that works. And I guess I can jam Jace and have counterspell back up. That's probably better than Teferi. That is generally how Planeswalkers rank. So I'm going to play Jace. And I'm going to Brainstorm. Then I'm holding up counterspell again. And they know that because they remanded it there. So I don't think I need this many lands right now. I can put these islands back because I'm going to fetch for them anyway. Then, okay. Here is my current situation. I'm actually going to fetch now in case they have flash threats or whatever. Like, I just want my counterspell up. I'm going to fetch anyway. Like, might as well do it now while I know I'm good. Omnath. Let's counter Omnath, or start with a counter anyway. They know about this counter spell, but I could at least Solitude it in response to a landfall trigger. Right, remand targeting counterspell. Alright, so they are pushing the Omnath in right now. So in response to its own ETB, I can get rid of it. It's before they get a land drop at all. Get rid of that. They draw a card for Omnath. Alright, they can remand out of their graveyard because of the Wrenn. I should remember that. So definitely want to little Teferi this turn and make sure that they can't fight me back. So draw a card with that. Brainstorm with this. Rest in Peace is pretty good against Ren and 6, I've heard. So put these two back. Can fetch the Hallowed Fountain. A little Teferi. Get in there. Rest in Peace. Get in there. Alright, and then little Teferi. I think I want a plus. There's nothing to bounce right now. And I can Supreme Verdict. That's pretty sweet. Okay, shields are up. Let's see what we can do about it. I guess they did just draw their little Teferi, so if they have like Teferi into like Scape Shift, I might just lose here. They're spending mana like I don't have Teferi in play. Yeah, maybe going for Rest in Peace pushed it a little too hard. Maybe I should have left up 2 counters. Like I am slightly exposed here in a way I'm not really happy about. Ending my Jace. Okay. That could have been worse. Oh, did they mistap? Oh, X is 3. They just didn't pay enough colors? Okay. I'll take that. Deal. Alright, plus big Teferi. Now we're just running here. So put back this, and don't think I need Chalice at this point. I'm not even sure the one I have in play is doing anything right now. Should I put Kaheera in hand? I don't think I even need to do that. Oh, it's kind of free with Teferi, so yeah. Wish for Kaheera, then untap 2 lands. There we go. Okay, we're in Valakut range. How did that happen? I guess these are all just mountains, aren't they? Yeah, probably should have plus Jace. Blew it. Alright, see you later, Jace. Yeah, them just natty Valakuting, that's actually a problem for my deck. Bring to Light. This card does not work with Teferi in play. Resolves. Bring to Light. This is what I was talking about with Urza in round 1. Urza lets you play the card till end of turn. Bring to Light wants you to play it right now. And right now means while Bring to Light's on the stack, so that's just exiled. See you later. Oh, Shame Concession. I think... I mean, I guess it depends on how many mountains are actually in their deck, but the natural Valakut is kind of a problem for my Planeswalker strat. But okay. I'll take a concession. I guess Teferi can tuck Valakut and at least like slow them down a little bit. Oh wait, nope, it's target non-land permanent. It can't do that. Yeah, that card would be really good if it could hit lands. Alright, anyway, here we are. So they are a Ren and 6 Bring to Light Scape Shift deck. What do I want to do about that? Dryad of the Elysian Grove is an enchantment. It is also a green card and a creature. So most of my things line up against them pretty well. They are a remand deck. I think I want Mystical Dispute in. I don't think I need all these Supreme Verdicts. Yeah, I'm going to make them show me more creatures. We've seen Dryad and Omnath, both of which are like standalone win the game creatures, but with counterspells and Solitude, I don't think I need the Wraths against that particular setup. I don't think Chalice actually did anything. I mean, a lot of the time Chalice's effect on a game is invisible, so maybe they did have Lightning Bolts rotting in their hand, but they have main deck Prismatic Ending, and I saw a lot of 2s, 3s, 4s, but no 1s, so I'm not going to do that. And they are a Planeswalker deck on top of everything else they're doing, so I think Force of Negation's probably a good one. Rest in Peace checks Ren and 6. I like that. Prismatic Ending also checks Ren and 6. So I actually think I like Prismatic Ending better than the Rest in Peace, but having 1 in isn't going to hurt. This spread makes sense to me. Let's try it. Alright, I'm going to keep this hand. It has a Mystical Dispute and some Planeswalkers, or a Planeswalker. This hand is not going to lose to Ren and 6. I have answers going nuts for Ren and 6 here. Alright, Archmage Charm, great draw. I love that card. They got their Ketria Triome in the end step. I'm going to go for my Hallowed Fountain right now. And then I think I can run out. No, I'll play the basic. I'll represent Counterspell at least, make them think about it. Maybe I didn't want them thinking about it. Maybe I just wanted Mystical to speed up and they just ram Ren and 6 onto the table. Alright, I'll shock this in, because I can draw 2 cards if they don't cast a spell for me to counter. Like getting to land number 5 with the Teferi and 2 Solitudes in hand is going to be part of this game plan. All right, let's see what we got here. Target player draws 2. And they know I have Jace, so if they fight over this in the end step... Alright, never mind. Draw Jace. Damn it. Alright, they were not tricked by my representing Jace. They were ready to die to Jace here. Alright, Dryad, I'm gonna Mystical Dispute that. Bang. They have 2 they can pay, but not 3. If they remand their spell, that gives me a turn to draw an answer to it. Alright, Veil of Summer is really good too. Okay, so let's draw a land, please, deck. Let's unlock these 5s. Set them free. Ugh. Alright. Prismatic Ending, white, blue, red. Get that out. I am still representing Mystical Dispute, which I just showed them, so hopefully that gives them some pause, but they've been pretty fearless about shoving into Counterspell so far. Or shoving into, or just tapping out. So we'll see. Ugh. Mystical Dispute, don't have it. So we could definitely, maybe I should have Solituded that. Alright. If they crack this fetch land, I'll have to Solitude. Alright. Exile Prismatic Ending, probably. Okay, so I'm not going to let them get infinite mana. Or just the giant pile of mana. It's not actually infinite. Nice having free answers to stuff in your control deck. Land? Alright, we drew a land. I could just go for Teferi here. I think that's actually reasonable to do. Get in. Alright, yeah, remand. It's a little time walk action. If they have Scape Shift, I'm probably dead, but if they need to Dryad or Omnath, I do have the Solitude still. Oh, there's Valakut. Does Bring to Light? Yep, okay. Bring to Light with 4 colors. They've already made their land drop, so it's probably just Scape Shift. Just classic Scape Shift, like it. I'm gonna make them show me the correct number of mountains. Oh, they sacked Valakut with it. Interesting. Alright, they have a sufficient number of mountains here to deal 18 damage to me, so I am dead. Okay, so I think my sideboard plan was correct of having all the Force of Negations in. I'll double check, make sure that now that we know Scape Shift is there, I mean, we could have read it, like they have Bring to Light, they have Dried Arbor, I suspected it, but now we know it 100%. Still haven't seen a reason to have Chalice of the Void in the deck. Like, Wear Terror does what? Kills Dryad and nothing else. So I think that this is a fine setup still. Here we go. On the play, of course, I'm going to keep this handful of Mystical Disputes. Island Go. The best play in all of Magic. And I have the Rest in Peace, which checks Ren and 6 proactively. I don't think I'm going to have to counter anything on turn 2. Like, the thing I would want to counter is Ren and 6, which I can't counter because this is Mystical Dispute, and the way I counter it is Rest in Peace. Just get ahead of that. We're just aggressively fetching in response to the Rip trigger. Okay. Savai Triome is in play now. That is the Mardu one. So they could Prismatic Ending my Rip if they care about it. I'm not going to jam my Teferi into their negates and remands and stuff. If I draw another land, I can protect Teferi with Dispute next turn, if I think that's important. And I can dispute their Teferi this turn. Drawing a land's an important part of this plan, though. We didn't do it. My hand's full of reaction, though, so this isn't the end of the world. Maybe they'll just shove Omnath on the stack. Bulky God of Lies. Just in creature mode. I'm going to cast a Mystical Dispute on this because I don't care if they fight over it. Like, if they tap out here to fight over Mystical Dispute and I get to resolve Teferi, that's a deal. And they dispute it. That they had that game 1 remand my own spell play that was actually sweet, and now they stopped doing that, and it doesn't make sense. Like, they've bounced their spell once and my spell 3 times, and I think in most of the situations where they bounced my spell, they would have been better served bouncing their own. Alright, well, here's Teferi. And it actually has something to bounce. Get my Solitude back. Oh, and I drew another one. I was like, wow, why did I get two? Is that a moto bug? But no, it's just how that works. Alright, so they know about Force of Negation and Mystical Dispute at this point. Valky can resolve. I don't care. I have a second Solitude now. Drawing the land to cast this Solitude is going to be a big deal. Dryad. Okay, so I can't counter that right now. Ooh, if they have a land, shit, that actually hurts. That can kill Teferi. Alright, now I really need a land, actually. This just became a huge deal instead of just, like, kind of shitty. Land? Alright, not a land. So, what is the play here? I can cast Jace, bounce Valky, get back Solitude, pitch Solitude. I think I want a Teferi rather than Jace. Because then I can protect all of this with Mystical Dispute in case they have Force of Negation. I bounce Valky again. Alright, I found a Plains. And I guess I just have to take this thing out right now. It could cost me a Solitude. Couldn't wish for a Kaheera first. If they have Bring Delight right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mystical Dispute is good enough. If they go Veil of Summer first, then Bring Delight, that will work, or I'll have to make hard choices about Force of Negationing a Bring Delight. Okay, that can kill Teferi, and that's fine, I guess. He did his job. That's all this does. This is just Prodigal Sorcerer for a couple turns. So the one of Rest in Peace doing work here. This is probably just Valky again. Yeah, the Take Nothing Valky. Don't have any creatures. You took them all, remember? There we go to my turn, and Big Teferi's nice, but I have to lead on Jace. The Jace has Mystical Dispute back up here, and I have to plus because they have 3 damage on board right now. Alright, I'll leave that on top, both because I don't care about it, and they have a fetch land, so leaving something on top will bait a shuffle. Even though it's not really bait, because it's actually a correct to shuffle. Alright, they didn't believe me, so they have a Renin 6 in their hand. They can put 4 damage on Jace, get them to 1. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 mountains available. So if there's a mountain in their hand, like the next mountain is going to start doing Valakut damage. Alright, got a fetch here. I'm going to go for a Mystical Dispute, at least to tap them low, because I'm not really doing anything else. If this Teferi can bounce Rest in Peace, they can fetch and... Alright, well, if they have Veil of Summer, I'm blown out. Just gotta hope they don't have it. Okay, cool. So that tapped them out for the turn, and then I get Jace plus Teferi activity. Ren should probably just put a damage on Jace here, yeah. So I can brainstorm with Jace. I can jam Teferi and plus him first and decide, yeah, I think that's the play. So I'm gonna plus Teferi, decide what I need to do with Jace based on what Teferi finds. Hopefully just like counterspell. Oh yeah. Say the word, it will appear. So I'm gonna plus them again with Jace. Yes, put that on the bottom, please. That's not what I want to play against right now. So the Jace being on 4 has Valky plus minus Ren plus minus the other Ren in their hand kills Jace, but they don't know about counterspell. So if I can counter the second Ren after they commit all those resources to putting Jace to 1, that's pretty cool. Though the natural Valakut is a problem. Oh god, they're going face, just ignoring my planeswalkers. That's freaking scary. Alright, well, they're going for Scape Shift, it looks like. If they can protect it, I lose. Wait, nope. 5 mana? Not Scape Shift. Is it Bring Delight? What's happening right now? It is Scape Shift. Alright, well, If they have counter backup, they have Ren and 6 and 2 mystery cards in their hand. Alright, yeah, I'm dead. Okay. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, we just got completely outmuscled by this deck. Everything they put on the stack generated card advantage or was a must counter and just like couldn't keep up. That was pretty sick. There are probably cards I could play in the 75 that would help with this matchup better. I'm just not currently playing them, so it doesn't matter. But if like actual lots of mountains bring to light skate shift is something in your metagame, you could certainly build for it. All right, dead. Outmuscled. On to the next one. I'm on the draw in round number 4 with another answer heavy hand. I'm going to keep it. Prismatic Ending is such a sick card. Just being able to answer anything on curve on the draw is so nice. Uh-oh. Is this another Scape Shift deck? Is the format just Ren and 6 these days? That's probably one of the most powerful cards you can play. And I haven't seen any of the Delver stuff yet. The stuff that this deck is mostly designed to beat. But I know Ren and 6 is also just an insanely powerful card that exists in the format. We got a Wooded Foothills. Alright, what's the answer? Is it Blood Moon, Stone Rain? It is Blood Moon. Bummer. I could have fetched... I was just still tunnel visioned on the Valakut from last round that I didn't consider fetching Basic Mountain. I'm probably in some trouble here. I have 1 basic plains in the deck. If I draw it, I can Teferi, bounce the Blood Moon, and do stuff, but obviously that's a big ask. Alright, I'm gonna exile this creature. I'm sure. No reason to do it now. I can take my draw and see what happens. Yeah, just fetching a basic would have completely changed this game, but now I know. That's the value of Blood Moon, just the outrageous cheese factor. Alright, let's get rid of this thing. Okay, that's gone. I could have put Kaheera in my hand. Whoops. I also could have put Kaheera in my hand, then pitched it to Solitude and kept Teferi. Like, that's probably better. Like, if I'm playing to a world where I need to draw my 1 basic plains anyway. Klothys. Okay. And Rest in Peace is in my main deck, which is pretty good against Klothys. All these fetch lands teasing me. Alright, Klothys triggers. Yeah, it's definitely frustrating that my deck just has 6 basic lands in it. I kept an opener with 2 fetch lands. Could have just had Plains Island easily win this game. Like, I could have had Little Teferi in play last turn, Prismatic Ending still up, Big Teferi in play now, and just this game's a joke. But I didn't play around it. I was thinking about something different, and I'm going to lose for it. They have Ren and 6, so they're going to hit... I guess the Blood Moon kind of turns off Ren and 6, but also not really at all. Right, Klothys is out of things it can eat in graveyards for now. I'm still a basic plains away from just popping this game open. Not for long, though. They'll eventually play something that actually wins the game. Like that one. Okay. That's a good one. They're Wishing with Karn. Liquid Metal Coating. Alright. So they can destroy my... Or they can, like, Rashad Port my island. Nope, they didn't do it. Not interested. Didn't matter. Okay. Simply not considering that Blood Moon might be coming cost me that game, and that's totally on me. Like, you can play around Blood Moon if you want to. Like, just fetch island, fetch plains. This game is a joke. But instead it was a joke in the other direction. Alright, we'll make that mistake again. Wear Tear can answer Blood Moon. Either Gust can remove most of the permanents in their deck. Force Negation's probably something I want if they have Karn. I don't think I want to pile up too many Wear Tears, but it does seem like something worth having. They are a Ren and 6 deck, but I don't think I want Rest in Peace just for Ren and 6. Like, I have the Prismatic Endings, Aether Gust. Chalice of the Void, what does this do? They probably have... Like, we saw the Utopia Sprawls and stuff. I don't think Chalice is where I want to be in this matchup, which gives me 1 slot to bring one of these things back in if I want it. I actually cannot create double white in the deck with a Blood Moon in play, so maybe Supreme Verdict is the cut. Do I just want Mystical Dispute as like a 3 mana leak? Convolute, I guess, is the card I'm trying to name. Convolute is pay 4, but samesies. Not sure if I want all the Supreme Verdicts. So I think I actually do. Oh, I just get a card. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm like, yeah, what do I want to cut? Maybe Timely Reinforcements is just something that can buy time, get ahead on the board. But Timely doesn't really matter. Like, that's not really the axis this game's getting played on. I think I do just want another counterspell. Or should I be respecting Karn and Blood Moon more? Okay, fine. I'm doing this. There's a lot of counterspells in the deck already. And Wear Tear is a white card for Solitude. Alright, this one can fetch basic planes, but if it doesn't cast counterspell. Oh god. What a dirty trick. I am going to keep this hand, though. I'm just going to play Steam Vents tapped. I'm going to let counterspells do my work rather than fetching... Like, I'm not going to mulligan this playable hand. I might have to mull this on the draw, because if they ramp into Blood Moon, counterspell's too slow. But as it is, this is pretty solid. Okay, cool. There's a basic. So I have counterspell up. And I'm going to curve it into Archmage Charm into Jace. So I've got stuff going on here. Alright, now I can fetch a basic planes and still have answers up in Aether Gust, and I have the 2 mana for Counterspell. And then I have Island Planes set up for the future. Opia Sprawl, you got it. Scavenging Ooze, do I care about this? Probably not. I mean, I guess I can just Aether Gust it in the end step if I decide I care about it. Or, you know, whenever I want. I don't even need to do it in the end step. Life Total's a resource. Alright, they're just eating random cards out of my graveyard. After seeing Rest in Peace game 1. Did I have Rest in Peace game 1? No, I don't think I did. No, that was last round. I'm losing track. Alright, Bloodbraid Elf is doing what? Pillaging my land. Okay, so I'm going to Counterspell Pillage and leave up Aether Gust. So there's that. Alright, so I'm gonna Gust. Let's see. I'm gonna Gust the Scavenging Ooze. See what they want to do with that. Keep it on top, put it on the bottom. Gusting Bloodbraid Elf is too good for them. Right, they bottomed the Ooze. I take 3 here. And I can Jace and plus, and I'm holding up Force of Negation. No, don't put that on the bottom. You can have lands. So I have Force of Negation to bridge this gap into start brainstorming with Jace to come up with different answers to stuff. Some sort of 1-2 punch of like something backed up by Veil of Summer would be a beating here. Let's hope they don't have Veil of Summer in their Bloodbraid Elf deck though. That's just not good deck building. So they were going for the Wooded Foothills. If they have Lightning Bolt, I guess they can clear Jace. Okay, sure. Alright, that Jace did not do very much. It basically got a Lightning Bolt out of their hand and gained me 3 life. Okay, so I think I just want to pass with Archmage Charm up right now. And if they cast a spell I need to counter, I'll counter it. If they don't, I will draw 2 cards. Both this God of Destiny. Jesus. This format is hostile right now. So do I want to counter these? I don't think so. I think I need to draw cards and get up into Solitude. Like, I just think that is how I need to play this game, and it's not particularly close to close. Alright, target player draws 2. Jeez. Okay, so if I fetch Shock, I'm at 7. I can actually exile Klothys right now. Yeah, because it's somehow a creature. Alright, let's do that. Get rid of creature Klothys. Alright, cool. I have a 3/2 lifelink in play. I am tapped out. Not excited about that, but I can answer a Blood Moon. Glorybringer, what the fuck? Alright. Okay. Alright. Wow. I threw away game 1. In game 1, if I have basic planes in play, is just a complete slaughter in the other direction. But the Bloodbraid Elf, like the 2-for-1s, like this deck is trying to 1-for-1 and take over time, and it's trying to gain virtual card advantage out of Chalice of the Void and Rest in Peace, neither of which are particularly great in this matchup. So yeah, this was an absolute pounding. We are on the draw in the final round against a Lurrus deck, and I'm going to keep this hand. It's pretty reactive, but in mulling against Lurrus decks, I never love. If they are like burn Lurrus, Force Negation and Archmage Charm are both good. If they're 1-drop Lurrus, then Archmage Charm is good. We'll see what's going on here. Springleaf Drum, okay. Is this hammer time? Is that what I'm playing against? Sigurda's Aid. Okay, you may attach it to target creature you control. Alright, do I let this resolve or do I counter the hammer? I'm gonna let them have that. Oh, I guess they could play around Force of Negation by just flashing it in right now. That's a nightmare. Alright, probably should have countered that card. Oh, but they don't have mana right now. Alright. If I can get Chalice into play, that's a pretty good one here. Pure Steel Paladin. Alright, can't counter that card. Okay, so Chalice of the Void on 1 is generally pretty good against this deck. The Saga has me a little worried, but I'll be able to steal the creature they equip Hammer to, or the Hammer itself. In stealing the Hammer, when it's equipped to a creature, doesn't matter. But I have to beat these Sagas. Taking 3. Okay, so Archmage Charm is up, and it can steal a Construct, it can steal Memnite. I think that stealing the Hammer does stop it from equipping. Though, equip it to target creature you control. I don't actually know how this works. No idea. Alright, so I'm going to fetch in case they Pithing Needle me, which I kind of hope they do, because otherwise it's Hammer. Probably should have countered Sigurda's Aid. Now, like, Urza Saga was the thing that I didn't account for. So this is definitely a deck where you need to understand... Okay, good, they targeted Memnite. I can steal Memnite. Metalcraft. Equipment you control, equip 0 as long as you have 3 or more artifacts. Alright. So they can move it freely afterwards, but I can at least brick this combat step. Alright, so I have Memnite now. So they can just move their hammer onto something else. Yeah. Yeah, I needed to counter Sigurda's Aid. There's Solitude, and Kaheera finally showing up to be a white card, as needed. And I'm probably going to fetch for a white land here. Right, so they go into combat. Can exile the Paladin. Still have to beat these pair of 4/4s though. I think I'm going to chump with Memnite. Like, anything to save some damage is worth doing at this point. I'm not doing anything with that Memnite. Equip cost is 8 on Colossus Hammer. Lurrus is in the hand. I'm going to fetch for a Hallowed Fountain and really want to draw Solitude right now. That's, or one of the Planeswalkers, I guess, is also really good. That was not so good. I mean, Chalice on 0 does help blank the Lurrus. Guess I had Lurrus under control anyway with the Counterspell. Yeah, I'm probably just going to die to these two constructs unless I draw exactly Solitude. Counter that card. Yeah, should have Forced Negation Sigurda's Aid. The Urza Saga, I don't know why I keep getting surprised by Urza Saga. It should just be ubiquitous in every deck. And playing a deck like this one, like this is a meta blade, and you have to understand the meta to get away with it. So yeah, 1 turn too late here. And Prismatic ending this thing and then just die to the other one. It attacks for exactly 3, which is my life total. Alright. I give up. Messed that one up. I hope you're all taking these opportunities to learn from my mistakes. Like, it's pretty important to stress how this... When you play a deck that is designed to attack a specific metagame, you do need to understand that metagame, like, fundamentally. Like, losing a game to Blood Moon, where I could have just said, like, Stomping Ground, this might be a Blood Moon deck, I'll fetch basic planes. Like, that's how... It would have been that easy, and I just didn't do that. Like, that's something that should be on your radar, and just stuff like that. And like this deck where I'm like, I'll let Sigarda's Aid resolve because I can counter the hammer later, and then they just played Urza Saga and never beat me without casting a spell. Like, that sort of stuff you can't let happen when you're playing a deck like this. Do I want timely reinforcements? Probably. Just buying time matters. Chalice is really good against this deck. Supreme Verdict's really good against this deck too. Jace is probably medium bad against this deck. Force Negation's definitely bad. Archmage's Charm can steal stuff. I don't think I really care about Counterspell. Playing to the board is a reasonable choice here. Can I cut both Jaces, or do I need that to win the game with eventually? No, I'm going to trust in Teferi. I think if I don't lose for long enough, I will win this matchup. That's not true of every matchup. Like, there are decks that you have to actually beat, but this one I think you can just survive long enough and eventually they'll die. Okay, so I have Wear Tear, Prismatic Ending, and Counterspell. I'm going to keep this. The Delta has to get Steam Vents. Esper Sentinel, okay. So I can exile that with Prismatic Ending and pay the toll so they don't draw a card. Forgot to fetch in my end step. So I'm gonna take damage I don't need to right now. I could also just not take damage. Though I think having red mana available is gonna save me more than 2 life over time. Right, Prismatic Ending, target Esper Sentinel. I would like to pay the 1. Yes. Get that out of here. Alright, really need to draw a land. If I can kick this Wear Tear, we're in business. But if not, we are out of business. They have a Colossus Hammer in their hand now. And I did draw a land. It's Mystic Gate. So I can't actually fuse Wear Tear. I can get Teferi into play and try to set them back a little. And just like absorbing a little bit of damage while drawing a card is not the worst thing I could do here. Do I want to bounce the thing that generates card advantage or bounce the thing that's free? Alright, I'll give them some more cards. Like, in case they juke me and just have Cauldron in their hand, I don't want to let them untap with Stoneforge Mystic. Alright, now Urza Saga. With the Urza Saga in play, Wear Tear is ready to shred. And they're taking out Teferi. And here's Stoneforge Mystic again. Yep. Shocked. Second Colossus Hammer and Pithing Needle. Okay. I can't imagine they would just blind name a correct card here. Do they just name Teferi, Little Teferi again? Jace the Mind Sculptor. Oh! Oh! Look at my sideboard! Virtual card advantage. Oh, Chalice of the Void's a good one. Kinda? Is it even? Okay, so yes, it is the answer. I'm going to play Chalice of the Void on 1. That's going to turn off a lot of their stuff. They can go ahead and get 1 construct, and then I can Wear Tear the construct and the Saga in my end step when they make it. It's a little awkward. It is tough to fight against 0-drop creatures with your control deck. Alright, that's something. That's an insurance policy. Okay, so they're going to make a construct in the end step. I'm going to let that resolve. And then I'm going to Wear Tear with Kicker, or Fuse Wear Tear. Just a Kicker variant. So Fuse, targeting Construct and Saga. Blast. And I can pitch Teferi to Solitude if I need an oh shit button. Like if they just have Cauldron in their hand and activate Stoneforge Mystic here. That might be something I have to do, but I'd rather just draw a land and start casting Solitudes. You're still Paladin. Whenever equipment enters the battlefield under your control. So Stoneforge Mystic does trigger that. So deck, how about that land? That would be great. It's not a land, it's a Little Teferi. So I will cast this and bounce Pure Steel Paladin. That's the one that can generate card advantage and do stuff on this board. Oh, these lands, they're killing me. I would very much like to have a 3/2 lifelink in play and not have to eject button this Solitude. Alright, they are dedicating their attacks. They are respecting Solitude to get Teferi off the board. You're still Pally's back. How about the land? Alright, we found the land. So you're saying there's a chance. Alright, I'm going to Solitude this Pure Steel Paladin right now before they draw a card off it. So get that out of here. And now I have a lifelinker in play of their attack, or in way of their attackers. They have at least 2 cards in their hand that they can't cast right now. Come on with this. Alright. It's alright. I can bounce it with Teferi and then hold up Counterspell now that I have 5 lands. I'm starting to feel the tide turn as long as I don't throw this away. Which is a big ask of me lately. Alright, so Teferi, bounce Pure Steel Paladin again. So really don't want them drawing cards off that card. Alright, is attacking... Oh, attacking lets them kill Teferi for free. So if they want to kill Teferi, I want them to lose their Stoneforge Mystic and let me gain 3 life to do it. Alright, so Counterspell this thing. No card advantage on my watch. I've already bounced your Stoneforge Mystic once this match. What do you want from me? Okay, they are ready to YOLO the Stoneforge Mystic into the bin to kill Teferi. That gains me 3 life. It's good stuff. Another one, sure. Alright, but now I'm starting to pivot into big Teferi with Counterspell backup. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big Teferi plus Solitude is great. And I'm going to untap Mystic Gate and Steam Vents. I'm holding up Counterspell and Wear, or just Wear Tear without Counterspell. Ooh, Inkpop Nexus, nice. Pure Steel Paladin, another one of these, jeez. I'm sick of these snakes on this plane. I'm actually going to leave up the Steam Vents in case I need to wear something. So I'm going to Counterspell the Pure Steel Paladin, though. Get it out. Prismatic Ending my Chalice. Yeah, that's pretty good. That unlocks their whole grip. Esper Sentinel, sure. So their hand is 2 hammers and a Shadow Spear right now. I have full information at this point. And Jace is out of my deck, so I'm not going to need to brainstorm, so I might as well fetch a land out of my deck right now. Cool. Oh, activate Teferi. Prismatic Ending's a nice one. So I can Wear Tear. I can also just ending the... What do I care about here? I can ending the Esper Sentinel, keep them off. Yeah, I think I want to do that. And pay the 1. Yeah, so that's free because Teferi's going to untap those lands. And then I have Solitude and Wear Tear available. Maybe the Solitude's supposed to attack now that I have the second one. But holding up 2 answers to Inkmoth Nexus feels like it's important. If they find a way to equip Hammer. Lurrus is in the hand now. Shadow Spear is fine. Are they just going to dump out all their weapons right now? Okay, no, they're going to equip. So they're attacking Teferi. Lifelink and Trample. Yeah, I'll trade off Solitude for this. I want to save the other one for Lurrus. Yeah, there's no rush here. Like I can take my time to figure out how to win this game. Right, Little Teferi is a nice one. So 1. There's Teferi. I can send the Mem Knight back into the grip and draw a card. Oh, Chalice of the Void. Don't mind if I do. Okay, they just conceded to the second Teferi. Alright, sweet. So now it's game 3. Or, yeah, game 3. That is how that works. I think I'm into... Though, is Supreme Verdict better than Timely, or is it mostly the same thing? Supreme Verdict pitches to Solitude, so does Timely. So that's not a change. Wear Tear, so good. This Urza Saga being an enchantment. Sign me up. Rest in peace just for Lurrus. I don't think that's the line. I should just save other removal for Lurrus. Do I just want maximum Supreme Verdicts? I don't think so. I still think that Timely is like a comparable effect to Supreme Verdict lower on the curve. And by comparable, I mean it just buys me a bunch of time, not like it literally does the same thing. Its role is comparable, not its effect. Okay, this hand is full gas. I'm going to keep it. I have Solitude as the eject button. I have Chalice, which has demonstrated that it's very good against them. Wear Tear, though I don't have red and white right now. I have red or white with this Flooded Strand, but my deck has a lot of lands. Let's find some of them. Pithing Needle. Just naming Flooded Strand. That would be a beating. They've been thinking about this Pithing Needle a long time. Like they're surprised it resolved. Like they didn't have a plan. I think naming Flooded Strand would be like the YOLO cheeseball play, and it would just happen to be pretty good here, but I have a bunch of lands I could draw. Teferi Time Raveler is probably the correct name, and that is what they went for. Right, I went with my basic... Wait, what? They kept a hand that has Pithing Needle and nothing else? Did they misclick? What happened? Why would this be their keep? I don't understand. Alright, I'm gonna shock in Steam Vents and play Chalice of the Void right now. Okay, so I have to imagine their hand contains Stoneforge Mystic or Pure Steel Paladin. Those are the cards that make any sense for them to keep the hand that they kept. Alright, so they picked up a Memnite off of Ingenious Smith, which does trigger it right away. So they went from miss your land drop past the turn to 3 power in play through a Chalice of the Void. That was a pretty good line, actually. I played my Flooded Strand, so this grows Ingenious Smith again. I can use Archmage Charm as a 2-for-1. I guess it's not a 2-for-1 because I don't get a trade. Like, would I rather draw 2 cards and just take 4? I guess I actually take more than 4 because I have to get white off of this Flooded Strand. But if I'm drawing cards, I don't actually have to get white off the Flooded Strand. Like, I could just take Memnite, chump, or I could take Memnite, trade with Memnite, and then, yeah, I actually like that. Okay. I'm going to take the shock to get Hallowed Fountain here. And I'm going to take Memnite, block Memnite. And that leaves them with just Ingenious Smith in play, and I have Solitude to exile it if it's required. And this takes 2 artifacts out of play for their Pure Steel Paladin and their constructs. Speak of the devil. Okay, I drew an island. That was a good draw. 1 white mana away from starting to cast these Solitudes, which I would really like to do. So if I take 5 here, I go to 6. That's not very much life. I could just jam a Solitude, get rid of one of these cards, Archmage Charm to draw. Yeah, I actually think I want to pitch one of these Solitudes. And I think Pure Steel Paladin is the answer to get rid of. Because that one is card advantage. It's slightly smaller, but I think them just drawing a bunch of cards and keeping cards flowing is how they're going to win this game. They put Lurrus in hand. So now, phase 2 of the plan. Target player draws 2. Gotta find a white source. No chance. Prismatic Ending does get rid of... Okay. Alright, so now I have Hardcast Solitude available. And I can hold up Wear Tear besides. I can afford to take 3 here. Like, if they just cast Lurrus, I'll let it happen, and then Flash and Solitude eat it. Prismatic Ending this thing next turn. Or I could just end this now. Or Solitude this now, ending the Lurrus. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. Alright, Solitude, here it is. Exile this card. This lets them go Lurrus, Memnite. Alright, I have Wear Tear. So I'm good on that. Stoneforge Mystic. Alright. They're ignoring Lurrus for a moment. Still going for Colossus Hammers. Guess they don't have a sideboard juke where they just get Cauldra or sort of Fire and Ice or something. 2 hammers in hand. Okay, so I can Wear Tear with Counterspell backup on their turn. I could Wear Tear right now and just hit Saga and Needle. And that's still, I still have Counterspell up for Lurrus. Yeah, I think that makes sense. That Needle will eventually be a problem. Fuse this artifact, this enchantment. And I'm holding Counterspell. Their hand is Lurrus, Hammer, Hammer, 2 mysteries. Lurrus, Hammer, Hammer, 1 mystery. You're still Paladin. Nah, that's card advantage. Alright, so Lurrus, Hammer, Hammer is their hand right now. They don't have attacks, unless they want Inkmoth Nexus to get in, but I think putting a hammer into play is probably a better use of their time. And then I can put Kaheera in my hand, and I'm chilling right now. If I can answer this Lurrus appropriately, then the coast is clear to start rumbling. There's one of the hammers that costs 8 to equip. And I think their ways to cheat it onto a creature are bricked by Chalice. Alright, they just tapped Inkmoth Nexus to animate itself. Was that a misclick? What's happening? Okay, yeah, apparently that was a misclick that they've just conceded from. Though I definitely feel like we're pretty far ahead on this board. So let's look at this real quick. So I have Archmage Charm for Lurrus and Prismatic Ending for whatever comes next. Kaheera casting it next turn. This is the first time I would have cast it. Solitude would be a 4/3 lifelink that can punch through the Stoneforge Mystics and gain a bunch of life. Yeah, that one was locked up. So I put up a 2/3 with this, and one of them was definitely winnable, like easily winnable if I just was more familiar with what people are up to in Modern right now. If I just like identified that Blood Moon was coming and like fetched around it, that game was an easy win. As far as the like meta Blade style of this deck, the plan here of just like people are using their graveyards in 1-drops, so I'm going to play main deck Chalice and Rest in Peace. That's a pretty interesting thing, and it was pretty good. We did not play against any of the decks that I think this deck is designed to beat. Like, didn't play against the Is It Prowess or Is It Blitz or Mono Red Prowess or the Is It Delver or like the Murktide deck. We played against none of those in this entire league, which is a risk you take on when you play a deck that is targeted at a specific metagame. You don't always run into that specific metagame over the course of 5 games in your league. Also, I didn't play this perfectly. Like, obviously, I never play decks perfectly, and this one requires intimate format knowledge that I don't really have right now. Like, I know what's going on in Modern, but not like to the point where I see Stomping Ground and no Blood Moon's coming. Like that sort of thing is something that you get your reps with. You lose to it once and then you never lose to it again. So this deck is really cool. I did definitely feel like every hand I kept, I felt like I was behind just automatically. Like it was like, well, my hand has like 2-drop, 3-drop, 5-drop in it. And that's just how the deck is constructed. And it is pretty good at catching up in those situations. But against the Modern format, like everyone is going fast for the most part. And just keeping a hand that just like has Counterspell on the draw as its first interaction. It's like, well, I can counter their 3-drop and just die to their 1 and 2-drop in the meantime. That stresses me out. But you can see how it does work out somehow. Like Canister and Steve are both better at building decks than me, and they found something here that's pretty cool. And with reps and really understanding the matchup, really understanding sideboarding, I can see how someone would win a lot with a deck like this. Like I said, this is part 1 of a 2-part experiment series. Part 2 is coming tomorrow, or if you're watching this after the day I release it, it's already live, so go check it out. And that one will be a more like tap out tempo version of Jeskai Control. It's going to have Ragavan and Stoneforge Mystic and then a similar top end to this deck. So I'm excited to try that one out, and I will be doing that tomorrow. So come back to check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Don't miss it. Like this video, comment, let me know what you think, and make sure to check out the merch store, check out the Patreon, check out the YouTube membership, all that stuff to support the channel. And I will see you next time.